There's a certain stillness in the air tonight, a kind of quiet that creeps into your bones and makes you question every choice you've ever made. I'm Bridget, 32 years old, and I'm sitting here in the dim glow of a single lamp, the shadows of our tiny apartment stretching long across the walls like they're trying to escape this place as much as I am. I've got a glass of cheap red wine in my hand, the kind that tastes more like regret than anything else, and the TV is flickering with some mindless show I'm not even watching. The sound of Fraser's voice cuts through the silence from the other room. My husband, 44, a contractor who lives and breathes his work. He's on the phone again, talking about blueprints and deadlines, his tone clipped and urgent, like the world might collapse if he doesn't solve some construction crisis at 10 p.m. I don't even flinch at the noise anymore. It's just the soundtrack of my life now, echoing through these thin walls while I sit here, invisible. Our apartment isn't much to look at. It's a cramped, two-bedroom place on the third floor of a building that's seen better days. The paint is peeling in the corners, and the carpet has stains I've stopped trying to explain. The kitchen light buzzes if you leave it on too long, and the couch I'm sitting on sags in the middle like it's as tired as I am. Fraser and I moved in here 5 years ago, full of plans and promises, but somewhere along the way, those dreams got buried under a pile of unpaid bills and unspoken frustrations. We don't talk much anymore, not really. Our conversations are just a checklist of necessities. Did you pay the electric bill? Can you grab milk on your way home? Sorry, I'm late again. Bridget, I'll make it up to you. I used to believe those apologies, used to wait up for him with dinner on the table, but now I just nod and let the words dissolve into the air. There's an emptiness growing inside me, a hollow space where connection used to be, and I don't know how to fill it. I keep sipping this wine, hoping it'll numb the ache, but it never does. Fraser's still on the phone, pacing in the bedroom, his boots scuffing against the floor. I can picture him, brow furrowed, hands gesturing to no one as he argues about concrete deliveries or whatever it is this time. He's a good man, I think, or at least he tries to be. But being good doesn't mean being present, and I've spent too many nights like this, alone with my thoughts, wondering if this is all there is. I'm not ready to admit what I want yet, not even to myself, but I can feel something shifting, a quiet rebellion stirring in the back of my mind. I push it down for now, focusing instead on the mundane, the familiar. Tomorrow's another day at the office, another 8 hours of pretending everything's fine. But tonight, it's different. Tonight, I was supposed to have something to look forward to. Fraser and I had plans, rare plans, for a dinner out, just the two of us, at that little Italian place down the street with the red checkered tablecloths and the candles that flicker like they're keeping secrets. I'd even put on a nice dress, the one I haven't worn in months, and spent extra time on my hair, hoping for a glimpse of the old us. But then, not even an hour ago, my phone buzzed with his text. Emergency at the site. Can't make it, sorry. That's it. No call, no explanation, just those cold words staring back at me from the screen. So here I am, sitting at the kitchen table, the dress swapped for sweatpants, eating reheated leftovers straight from the container. The pasta's gone soggy and the sauce tastes like cardboard, but I keep shoveling it in, more out of habit than hunger. I'm angry, I'll admit it. Angry at Fraser for always putting work first. Angry at myself for thinking tonight would be any different. But beneath that anger, there's something heavier. Sadness, raw and unrelenting, wrapping itself around my chest like a vice. And worse, there's this creeping sense of worthlessness, whispering in my ear that I'm not enough to pull him away from a construction site, not enough to be seen. I push the food away and grab my phone, scrolling through social media to distract myself, but it's a mistake. Every post is a punch to the gut. Friends on date nights, laughing over cocktails, couples posting anniversary photos with captions like my forever. I swipe faster, but the images burn into my mind, each one a reminder of what I'm missing. My thumb hovers over the screen, tempted to type out some bitter comment, but I stop myself. What's the point? Instead, I toss the phone onto the table and stare at the empty chair across from me, imagining Fraser there, smiling like he used to. But it's just a ghost, a memory I can't hold on to. The next day at work, I'm dragging through the morning, my eyes heavy from a night of tossing and turning. During a coffee break, I find myself in the break room with Harlan, one of the few coworkers I actually trust. He's leaning against the counter, stirring sugar into his mug when I let it slip. How Fraser bailed on dinner, how I'm feeling like I'm fading into the background of my own life. Harlan listens, his face softening, and then he chuckles, a little too casually. Sounds like you need a night out to forget everything, Bridget. Just cut loose for once. His words are meant as a joke, I know, but they stick with me, burrowing into my thoughts like a seed. Forget everything. Could I? The idea feels dangerous, but also exhilarating. I sip my coffee and let Harlan's suggestion linger in the air, a forbidden whisper that I can't quite shake. A few days later, I'm standing in front of my closet, my fingers brushing against a sleek black dress I haven't worn in years. It's tight, daring, the kind of thing I used to wear when life felt like an adventure instead of a chore. I slip it on, the fabric hugging my skin like a secret, and catch my reflection in the mirror. For the first time in months, I see a spark of something, maybe defiance, maybe desperation. Harlan had texted earlier, inviting me to join him, Marcus, and Harvey for drinks at a motel rooftop bar downtown. It's not the kind of place I'd usually go, but tonight, I don't care. I need this. I need to feel something other than the weight of my empty apartment. The elevator ride up to the rooftop feels like a journey into another world. My heart is pounding, a mix of nerves and anticipation, as the doors slide open and I step out into the warm night air. The breeze catches my hair, carrying the faint scent of jasmine and city smoke, and I spot them immediately. Harlan, Marcus, and Harvey, clustered around a corner table, their laughter cutting through the hum of conversation around us. The rooftop is alive with energy, string lights draped above casting a golden glow over everything, the clink of glasses mingling with the distant thrum of traffic far below. The city skyline stretches out before us, a glittering tapestry of lights that seems to pulse with possibility. I take a deep breath, smoothing my dress and walk over, my heels clicking against the polished floor. Harlan sees me first, his grin widening as he raises his glass. "Damn, Bridget, you clean up nice. Didn't know you had this side to you." Marcus chimes in with a low whistle, his eyes appraising me in a way that sends a shiver down my spine, and Harvey just smirks, leaning back in his chair like he's already won some unspoken game. Their compliments hit me like a wave, washing away the doubts I carried up here. I laugh, a real laugh, something I haven't heard from myself in so long, and slide into the empty seat they've saved for me. For the first time in what feels like forever, I'm not invisible. I'm seen, and it's intoxicating. We start with cocktails, something fruity and strong for me, the kind that burns a little going down but leaves a sweet aftertaste. The conversation flows easily at first, a mix of work gossip and silly stories. Harlan recounts a disastrous client meeting that had us all in stitches, while Marcus teases me about my habit of over-organizing the office supply closet. Harvey, always the loudest, shares a ridiculous tale about a bar fight he swears he didn't start, and we're all doubled over, the laughter spilling out into the night. The warm breeze keeps brushing against my skin, and every sip of my drink loosens the knot that's been tied tight in my chest for months. I feel alive, like I've stepped out of the grayscale of my life and into full color. But as the night wears on and the drinks keep coming, the tone shifts, subtle at first, then undeniable. Harlan's teasing takes on a sharper edge, his playful jabs turning into lingering touches on my arm, each one sending a jolt through me. Marcus's gaze grows heavier, his dark eyes locking onto mine for seconds too long, like he's searching for something I'm not sure I want to give. And Harvey, bold as ever, starts tossing out suggestions about living in the moment. His voice low and suggestive, each word dripping with an invitation I know I should refuse. I tell myself to pull back, to remember who I am, to think of Fraser. But the truth is, I don't want to. Not tonight. The city lights blur at the edges of my vision, the world narrowing to just the four of us, tucked away in this corner of the rooftop where the rules of my everyday life don't seem to apply. I let myself get swept up in it, in the rush of their attention, in the way it feels to be wanted again. The first light of dawn is just creeping through the blinds as I slip into our apartment, my shoes in hand to avoid any noise on the creaky floorboards. My heart's still racing from the night, a chaotic mix of adrenaline and something darker I can't quite name. I ease the door shut behind me, wincing at the faint click of the lock, and tiptoe through the living room, past the sagging couch and the clutter of Fraser's work papers strewn across the coffee table. The air feels heavy, like it's holding its breath, waiting for me to slip up. I make it to the bedroom and see Fraser there, fast asleep, his chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm, completely unaware of where I've been or what I've done. I slide into bed beside him, careful not to disturb the sheets too much, and lie there, staring at the ceiling, my mind a storm I can't escape. Guilt creeps in almost immediately, a cold, gnawing thing that starts in my stomach, and claws its way up to my throat. I replay the night over and over. The rooftop, the laughter, the way I let myself cross lines I swore I never would. I can still feel the warmth of Harlan's hand on my arm, hear Marcus's low voice in my ear, see Harvey's smirk as he egged me on. And beneath it all, there's this lingering thrill, a dangerous spark that refuses to die out, even now, as I lie next to my husband. I'm torn in two, shame and excitement battling inside me, and I don't know which will win. I turn my head slightly, watching Fraser's peaceful face, and wonder how I got here, how I became someone who could do this to him. I want to reach out to touch him, to anchor myself to something real, but I don't. I can't. My hands stay clenched under the blanket, and I just lie there, drowning in my own thoughts until exhaustion finally pulls me under. The next few days are a blur of pretending. I go through the motions, making coffee in the morning, kissing Fraser goodbye as he heads to a job site, sitting at my desk at work like nothing's wrong. But everything feels off, like I'm wearing a mask that's too tight. I'm jumpy, on edge, flinching every time Fraser asks me something as simple as, "How was your late work night the other day?" His tone is casual, just making conversation over dinner, but it feels like a spotlight burning into me. I mumble something vague about a project deadline and a last-minute meeting, avoiding his eyes as I push food around my plate. He doesn't press, not then, but I can feel the weight of his gaze lingering a little too long, like he's searching for cracks in my story. I hate how easily the lies come now, how they slip out before I can stop them, but I'm too scared to tell the truth. I'm not ready to face what it would mean. One afternoon, I'm in the laundry room, sorting through a pile of clothes, trying to keep my hands busy so my mind doesn't wander back to that night. I'm folding one of Fraser's shirts when I remember my purse, tossed carelessly on the counter after I got home. My stomach drops as I realize I never checked it, never got rid of the evidence. I dig through it with shaky fingers, past my wallet and keys, until I find it. A crumpled receipt from the motel bar. The date and time stamped in black ink, a damning little piece of paper I should have burned the second I got it. My breath catches as I stare at the words, the memory of that night flooding back in vivid detail. I know I should tear it up, flush it, do something to erase it, but I'm distracted, my mind racing with worst-case scenarios. Fraser could walk in any minute, and I'm standing here like a deer in headlights. In a panic, I just shove it back into the inner pocket of my purse, telling myself, I'll deal with it later. But later never comes, does it? I zip the purse shut and try to focus on the laundry, but my hands are trembling. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, the same sagging, scratched-up table where I've eaten countless lonely meals, when Fraser walks in. His face is a storm cloud, heavy with something I can't quite read, and my stomach twists into knots before he even opens his mouth. He doesn't say a word at first, just pulls out a chair and sits across from me. His movements slow, deliberate, like he's holding himself together by a thread. His hands rest on the table, fingers clenched into fists, and when he finally speaks, his voice is low, trembling with a barely contained anger that makes my skin prickle. "Bridget, we need to talk," he says, and the way he looks at me, those hazel eyes I used to lose myself in, feels like a blade cutting through every lie I've told. I try to swallow, but my throat is dry, and all I can do is nod, waiting for the hammer to fall. He takes a deep breath, and then he drops the bomb. "I called the motel downtown," he says, his words slow, each one landing like a punch. "Told them I was looking into a personal matter. They were real cooperative, Bridget. Gave me access to their door camera footage from that night you said you were at a work meeting." My heart stops. I can feel the blood draining from my face, my hands gripping the edge of the table so hard my knuckles turn white. I want to say something, to interrupt, to spin another excuse, but my mind is blank, a buzzing void of panic. Fraser reaches for his laptop, sitting there on the table like a guillotine, and flips it open. "You want to see what I saw?" he asks, his voice cracking just a little, and before I can answer, he hits play. The screen flickers to life, showing grainy, black-and-white footage of the motel's rooftop entrance. My breath catches as I see shadowy figures moving through the frame, their shapes unmistakable even in the low resolution. It's me, laughing and stumbling, my arm looped through Harlan's as Marcus and Harvey trail behind, their grins visible even in the dim light. The timestamp in the corner glares at me, a cold, hard fact that shatters the flimsy story I fed Fraser about a late-night work thing. I watch myself on that screen, carefree and reckless, a version of me I barely recognize, and each second feels like a nail in the coffin of everything I've tried to protect. My chest tightens, my pulse hammering so loud I'm sure Fraser can hear it. I can't look at him, can't bear to see the hurt I know is etched into his face, so I just stare at the laptop, frozen, as the video loops back to the start. "Bridget," he says, and his voice is softer now, raw with pain. "Look at me." I force myself to meet his gaze, and it's worse than I imagined. His eyes are glassy, filled with a betrayal so deep it cuts me to the core. "Tell me the truth. Right now. Were you unfaithful to me?" The question hangs in the air, heavy and suffocating, and I feel like I'm drowning under the weight of it. My mind races, torn between two impossible paths. I could deny it, double down on the lies, swear it was nothing, just a night out with friends that got out of hand. But I know he'd see through me. Those eyes of his have always been able to strip away my defenses. Or I could confess, lay it all bare, beg for forgiveness, and hope there's something left of us to salvage. My lips tremble, and I feel the tears building, hot and unstoppable, before I even make the choice. I break. The words spill out of me in a choked sob, my hands covering my face as if I can hide from what I've done. "I'm so sorry, Fraser," I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. I did betray you. I didn't mean for it to happen, I swear, but I was so lonely, so desperate for someone to see me, to care about me, in a way I felt I'd lost with you. I messed up, Fraser. I know I did, and I hate myself for it. The confession hangs there, raw and jagged, tearing at the silence that follows. I can't stop the tears now. They stream down my face, hot and relentless, as I wait for him to say something, anything. But he doesn't. He just sits there, his jaw tight, his eyes fixed on some distant point beyond me, like he's trying to process a wound too deep to touch. Then, without a word, he stands, the chair scraping against the floor, and walks out of the room. I hear the front door slam a moment later, the sound echoing through the apartment like a gunshot, leaving me alone with the wreckage of my own making. Days pass, and the silence in our apartment becomes a living thing, heavy and suffocating, pressing down on me from every corner. I wander through the rooms, past the sagging couch, the buzzing kitchen light, the peeling paint on the walls, and it all feels emptier than ever. Fraser's work boots aren't by the door anymore. His toolbox, usually left haphazardly on the counter, is gone. The space where his presence used to fill the air is just a void now, a constant reminder of what I've destroyed. I check my phone obsessively, every hour, sometimes every few minutes, hoping for a message, a call, even a single word to break this unbearable quiet. But the screen stays blank, no notifications, no sign of him. My fingers hover over his name in my contacts, itching to reach out, but the fear of hearing nothing in return, or worse, hearing finality in his voice, keeps me paralyzed for a while. Eventually, I can't stand it anymore. I start calling, leaving voicemails that spill out of me in desperate, rambling pleas. "Fraser, please just talk to me. I know I hurt you, I know I broke everything, but I need to hear your voice. I need a chance to make this right. Please don't shut me out." My words crack and falter, but I keep going, pouring my heart into messages I'm not even sure he'll listen to. He doesn't call back. The silence on the other end is louder than any rejection could ever be. After nearly a week of this torture, my phone finally buzzes with a text. My heart leaps into my throat as I grab it, hands trembling, only to see his name and a message so short and cold it cuts deeper than I thought possible. "I'm staying with a friend. Need space to figure things out." That's it. No anger, no questions. Just a clinical detachment that tells me more than any rant ever could. He's pulling away, building a wall I don't know if I can climb over. I stare at those words until they blur through fresh tears, reading them over and over, searching for some hidden softness, some crack I can wedge hope into. But there's nothing. Just the stark reality that I've pushed him so far away he can't even bear to be under the same roof as me. I don't give up, though. I can't. I spend hours trying to salvage what's left, grasping at any lifeline I can think of. I sit at the kitchen table, the same one where he confronted me, and write him a letter, a long, messy thing scrawled across pages of notebook paper. I pour everything into it. My regret, my shame, my promises to change, to be better, to never let loneliness drive me to such a dark place again. I even suggest couples therapy, something I never thought I'd consider, but now I'm clinging to the idea like it's my last chance. I tell him I'll wait, that I'll do whatever it takes to rebuild the trust I shattered. I seal the envelope with shaking hands, my tears smudging the ink on the address, and drop it in the mail, knowing he might never even open it. Deep down, I feel the truth gnawing at me. Trust isn't a thing you can glue back together once it's in pieces. It's gone, and all I can do now is hope that time will soften the edges of our broken past. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.